And welcome back to Stories from the River. This is your host, Charlie Malouf. I'm joined here with Manny Rodrigues, our Chief Operating Officer, and my business partner here at the River. Manny, welcome back.
Thank you, Charlie. Thanks for having me back. I'm excited to be back for season 3, but also excited to be here for this special episode.
Yeah, glad to have you back and to talk about this special topic today, which is our word of the year. By the way, I think this gets you back into the leaderboard on return guests.
Yes.
Here. Yeah, you've moved ahead of Heather.
You know how competitive we are.
I do know that.
Welcome to Stories from the River, a show in which we go behind the scenes at Broad River Retail.
So Manny, the word of the year has kind of become a thing at Broad River. Why don't we take a little bit of a journey back? Do you remember like the first word of the year that we had?
You're exactly right. This word of the year has caught a lot of momentum, a lot of steam over the years. And the interesting story here is that these words and sometimes phrases of the year, or a couple words of the year, really sometimes just kind of happened, right? And back in 2015, we kind of didn't know it was happening until we kind of got through the year and had to look back and say, wow, that was a year full of full of grit.
Yeah.
And so, but we've gotten a good process down. I'm really excited to share with our viewers or the listeners, really the process, but really just kind of how far we have come.
Yeah. Well, so 2015, it was grit, and we probably really identified that mid-year by the end of the year. Yeah. And I don't even remember, but 2016, I think we kind of said, hey, this will be our year to believe we could kind of rebuild and be great again. And then I do remember, being asked going into 2017, hey, well, what's our word of the year? It was believe. I said, I don't know. Do we need to do this every year? I said, okay. And so we came up with the word impact. We then won the National Impact Award, which was given to us for impacting in our communities and for innovation. And really that was about kind of a reawakening to this conscious capitalism movement that was inspiring us, which was all about this phrase that we heard from Kip Tyndall, which was being mindful of our organizational wake. And wanting to have an impact in our communities and with our people. And so that was really, really meaningful for us. And then do you remember 2018?
Yeah. I mean, into your point, just, before we get to 18, believe in 16, I mean, we were like Ted Lasso before Ted Lasso.
That's right.
I mean,
that's right.
So you're exactly right. Really what some of the, from grit to believe, to impact. And there were so many things that happened in 17 that kind of led us to kind of know that, wow, we are making an impact. It's really the story of the flywheel. I mean, this flywheel concept of gaining momentum on words of the year really just started to pick up. And then ultimately, as we brought on some new folks to the team, they really started to engage and be additive to what we were trying to do. So like we'll talk about purpose and so forth. But yeah, I mean, it's really gained momentum over the past couple of years.
Yeah, it sure has. And I think it was kind of easy in 2018 because you said a lot of things happened in 2017. Well, one of those was we launched our vision statement.
That's right.
We had a mission and core values, and then we launched our vision, which was to be the premier Ashley store operator, which our vision statement today. And so we said, okay, well, let's just rest on that for a whole year. Let's go be premier. And then Kim had come on board and designed a logo for us. So we
our first logo.
Yeah, our first logo. We had some artwork to put to it. And then it was kind of easy then, I think, because in August of 18, we launched our purpose statement, furnishing life's best memories. And so on the heels of that, we said, hey, part of it was from Joey Reiman's framework, be it, do it, say it. And we were going to activate it all year. And so we did a 16-month activation with our purpose activation committee, such that we came out with the year of purpose.
That's right.
Those are easy ones to pick. And that's when there was the World Business Forum, they had the letter, everyone was getting behind the word purpose. And it's also like it activates your reticular activating system. Once you kind of say this is what you're going to think about, or whether it's for you personally or professionally as a company, for a group of people, you start seeing it everywhere.
Yeah.
Have we been seeing it this past year.
Yeah.
So we had 2019 and then purpose 2020.
Yeah. Then, and part of what we'll talk about here is the process of coming up with a word, but we start this process. Some folks might say we start this process in the summer, but no, really we get to this process and we'll walk through it here in a bit towards the tail end of the year. And so at the end of 2019, when we got together with our team and we started thinking about, what the year ahead might bring, we really started to kind of, and what we had from a business standpoint, we knew we were opening up a second distribution center in Four Oaks. And so that we were going to be multi-campus. The first time, Four Oaks and Fort Mill. And so really our word at that point with what we knew was to be united, right? We wanted to come together, be united, have a united team. What we didn't realize is how profound that word would be going into 2020.
Well, profound and prophetic.
Prophetic,
right?
yeah.
Well, because we knew that this second campus, that's a great reminder because it was the first time we had all these events all at our one campus. That was our home, our main campus. We pulled the vision forward. We broke ground. We opened a second campus that was going to open in 2020. And when we had kind of done a study the year prior of what could hurt us, it was like divisiveness or division, or how do we scale our culture to go from 1 to 2? And I always remember the story Jonathan told me that, hey, when you go from 1 store to 2, that's going to be the hardest leap that you ever make. And so we're going from 1 DC to 2. How do we? And we said, well, we need to really focus on staying united. And then we knew it was going to be a tough year with all the store openings and everything that we had for that year. So we also wanted to kind of go all in. So it's a little bit united was the main word, and then going all in. And then we loved what united meant during COVID of holding fast, of holding together. And so we really wanted to continue that legacy of being together. And so when Pantone was coming out with not one color of the year, but two colors of the year, we really like the word forward, going forward. And we just appended that in 2021 with together. And so we also kind of said, hey, it's a tale of two cities. It's a year of two halves. We had the darkness and then the vaccines and everything. And the economists were saying, hey, it's going to be tough in the first half, but better in the second half. Like they knew, I don't know. But we went with maintaining the legacy of united by the word together and going forward, but not forward alone, forward together. So that took us to 2021. And then, like you said, a lot of collaboration. And
a lot of collaboration at the end of 2021. And at that point, just thinking about that time period in the pandemic, we got through it together, right? We got through it together and we opened up those new locations. We opened up the second DC. Okay, now it's time to continue marching, continue on our march every day together. So it was forward together. And then we got to a point where we said, hey, listen, this mentality, what's our perspective going into this next year? And what do we wish for each other, for the folks that our partners that we do business with, for the communities in which we do business with, and really the word thrive emerged as like we want the best for our people. We want the best for our memory makers, the best for the towns and places that we do business. And so thrive. And the beautiful thing I loved about that logo is that Jim created was that there's different ways to thrive. It's a deeply personal word, and so we had those different people on, whether it was a kind of a paddleboard or a canoe. Like that's a deeply personal way. We just wanted to come alongside and wish you well and help you thrive. And so that was a really impactful year.
Yeah, we really started to pick up our momentum in the back of 21, and we started proving like, hey, we can go into this pandemic boldly, going together. It's not just about survival, but it's about thriving. Right. So people were saying thrival, and we're like, no, we're going to go from survival to thrival to thriving, and we're going to thrive individually, thrive as a company. And when we do that, we'll thrive together. And those 21 and 22 were record-setting years for us. I mean, we're really proud of how we performed and grew our revenues over 30%, over 20%, back to back, 2 years in a row. And so then, where do we go from thrive, right? I mean, we had to kind of figure it out. I mean, I think you had this epiphany during a run.
Yeah, we've had the pleasure of doing several runs together, and I believe this one was around the Crown, and so we were in that race, and it was around that time period where we're thinking about the word of the year for the following year. And so as we kind of thought about 2023, and we figured we started thinking about, well, how are we going to go from here to here with process, with people, with just different aspects of our business. And so how do we elevate? How do we go and how do we get more energized or more disciplined? And how do we take it to a new level, right? Level up, and so elevate, which is what we talked about earlier. I mean, I don't think Broad River grabbed a hold of the word elevate, but it has been, I feel like 2023, we've seen that word really come along. It's been everywhere.
Yeah. And sometimes someone will have an epiphany. And sometimes it's just no one has an epiphany and we bring our leadership team in and we try to beat it up. But the three phrases, I mean, there was like next level, taking it to the next level, or how do we level up? But we really like the crispness of just elevate. That connotes next level, level up. And how do we do better than thriving, right? And how do we be entrepreneurs and own our own boxes and go elevate each different department?
That's right.
To challenge ourselves to get, don't let yesterday's success be the inhibitor to tomorrow's success. And so it was to challenge ourselves to do better than just the status quo or how we had done, to not let stasis set in. Okay, so a thing about a word of the year is you can't be tired of it by February. I mean, it's got to have staying power. That's why the example I like to give is like sometimes like launch or ignite might not be the best right word of the year.
Still launching in October.
Yeah. Well, what do you do? Like reset. Well, I mean, are you resetting every single month? And so, it's got to have staying power. It's also for a company-wide word of the year. It's got to have breadth and depth. It's got to not just sustain your whole year, but it's got to be applicable to as many people as possible, where everyone can kind of take something from that and internalize. Oh, how do I do this, or what does that mean to me? And so, walk through kind of our process because I mean, it's all hands on deck, and there's a lot of debate and discussion, and then we get asked about it. So,
we definitely get asked about it, and so we do have to keep it a secret, which we're going to get to there. We'll get to that very quickly. But we also have this core belief that we make better decisions together, and so we bring our folks together. Charlie, you and I will naturally start the conversation as things start to kind of come together as we're looking at the plan for the following year and looking at what's in the plan, and so. We then bring our EST team together, our executive strategy team together to kind of start to brainstorm about some themes for the following year. We enroll then our leadership team. So there's multi facets to us understanding what that word might be and multiple conversations. But again, it goes back to some of those core disciplines and principles of which word has staying power, which word, and as we look at the organization, whether you're a memory maker in operations, whether you're a memory maker in visual impact, across the board, is it relatable? Are you going to be able to align to this word to say, yes, I can elevate, being a mindset too of, continuous improvement. Like how do I elevate, and add on to what I've already accomplished from the year prior. So there is a lot that goes into it. But at the end of it, it's a pretty beautiful answer of kind of what we see and what we hope to see for the following year. Yeah, and a fair critique could be, you guys really over-index or invest too much in just this word of the year. Focus on your business. And so I mean, I'll accept that. Put it in the comments.
That's right. I accept that critique. But we know we're going to it's foundational.
That's
and
right.
we're going to build, you got to get the foundation right. And we're going to build a lot of programs all year on the word of the year. And so we put a lot of pressure on ourselves to get it right. I don't know if it's scientific, but we do a lot of intake with our leaders, right? And so what are you guys hearing? And then as a leadership team, we have debates and we try to distill it down. Okay, let's group these together because they're all kind of the same. What's the best of these three or four? What's the best of these three or four? And it's almost like a tournament, right? Yeah. It's like the March Madness of word of the year. So bringing down to the top 12, and then top 8, top 6.
The final 4.
We got to the final 4.
Yeah.
I mean, then there's some good themes that were out there. The word I like to represent kind of what we're trying to do is capture the zeitgeist.
That's right.
The spirit of the times. I mean, this year we really tried to synthesize where the world is, where the country is, where the economy is, where our industry is, where Ashley is, where our communities are, and where our memory makers are, and where Broad River Retail is as a company. And then we try to understand what each of these audiences need today. That's really, really important. And we also, go back and we do our look back and we always want to remind, okay, well, hey, if every word's been an action word, should we go a different direction? We want to be mindful of, or hey, like when we did United, are we still in this kind of season? Do we need to kind of figure out how to continue that? But there were some themes that emerged this year. So for instance, you can't be in business today and not be aware of the phrase artificial intelligence or AI. I mean, it's in every publicly held company's news release or press release, how they're adopting AI. And so we paid attention to the rapid rise in artificial intelligence and what it can mean for humanity and for the river and for our memory makers. We also listened to, we read, we paid attention to information from the Surgeon General in today's new epidemic warning, which is the epidemic of loneliness and isolation in the United States. That's a warning from the Surgeon General, just like tobacco use or obesity or substance abuse, something that's a mental health crisis where we're devoid of social connection and 6 foundational pillars to go after it and address it. So that's something that, like, especially in a remote world, and we know that some of our folks are struggling with that. So I'll pause there. Do you want to comment on the AI piece or the Surgeon General's warning on isolation and loneliness?
Yeah, I might just add a couple things, but I mean, you're exactly right. I mean, these are all the filters and conversations that we have to distill some of the words that kind of come up, and it's not just distilling them internally. We also have to understand macro-wise what's going on in our industry, what's going on with Ashley. And so these are all really, really powerful themes. And I'm sure you got a couple of other really big ones, because 2024 is a big year.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think also, if you just kind of continue, we thought about it. Well, what's it going to be like for Broad River Retail with the macroeconomic circumstances, like a dragging economy, still dealing with slow housing starts that impacts us, high interest rates. I mean, they're still holding rates high. That impacts us. Soft demand, slow traffic, along with a really combative and divisive presidential election.
Big election, yeah.
So it's very polarizing. And we also thought about what this year means to us in terms of reinvesting. I know this is a topic that's really near and dear to your heart. Reinvesting back into the business, fortifying the company, strengthening, preparing, sowing seeds. I know that's a popular phrase that you like, and reconnecting with our people more and more, being leaders in our communities, and that hopeful, illuminating light. So I just want to pause there. Talk about that reinvestment year and sowing seeds.
Yeah. I mean, it's, some would say it's kind of counter to what others are doing right now. I mean, in a year where, I mean, you might want to just kind of hold on to what you have and not, and stash stuff away. Like, we've made a collaborative decision that no, I mean, this, it's in these years that we further show our commitment to go all in, and because it's part of the long-term thinking, right?
That's right.
And so long-term thinking means that, hey, we have to go and connect and reinvest back into our stores, because it's the right thing to do for the business. It's the right thing to do for our memory makers. It's the right thing to do for our customers. And so we love the 7.0 that Ashley has. And so we're going to be renovating a lot of locations. We're already in Fayetteville, North Carolina today, renovating that beautiful showroom into an Ashley 7.0 with an expanded sleep shop, and also adding an outlet in that location. And we're going to continue on with that journey throughout the course of the year, really culminating in the largest investment year that we ever had back into our locations.
Yeah, I mean, and we'll continue that into next year.
Correct.
And long-term thinking is a great phrase. And look, we want to be real with it. Any company needs to be in a position, like, we're budget-minded, right? Yep. We certainly have CapEx budgets every single year. We just doubled or tripled our CapEx budget this year, but we put ourselves in a position
to do that,
to be able to do that. Right. And so that's through balance sheet strength. And it's not like we're not frivolously doing it. Yes, we think it's also important for Ashley Furniture as a good partner. We think it's great to be a brand steward for the brand. But we also see a positive return on investment. It's not just like we just feel good because it needs change, where we're going to be somewhere for the long term. And the only constant in retail is change.
Absolutely.
And where we're going to be somewhere for a long time, it needs to be our best foot forward. And that's the time to plant the seeds,
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Well said.
And so, but I want to tell this story because we also thought about how Broad River Retail has always been countercultural and has never been one to back down from a battle. For instance, can I tell this story?
Please.
So when the entire business press was calling for the end of brick and mortar retail, stating that e-commerce was going to take over the world and eat the world and eat retailers, back in 2016, 2017. Well, that's when we changed our company's name.
Sure
we
did.
changed our identity. We said we were going to, like David in the fight against Goliath, run quickly to the fight.
That's right.
And be so brazen as to embolden ourselves by putting the word retail in our name.
Yeah.
That's when we changed our name from Broad River Furniture to Broad River Retail. We said we're going to be a retailer, think like retailers, act like retailers. And I remember Jonathan saying, God, you sure you want to put that in the company name? I said, yeah, we do. Now we're going to, this is who we are. We're going to embrace who we are. So we've always been a little bit.
We also didn't like the acronym.
Yeah. BRF is not the great acronym. Thanks, Manny. I don't know if Burr is much better. Look, so after significant debate and discussion, we decided and really felt that now is the time to be countercultural once again, but in a positive way. In the only way that Broad River knows how to do it, in a way that addresses our needs while maintaining integrity to who we are, who we have always been, and who we will always be or hope to be, and what the world needs today. And so synthesizing all of this feedback and the zeitgeist and the spirit of the times, and really to represent unity and community.
That's right.
To represent togetherness, to show that no memory makers to be left behind, nor any child in our community, in our local community, because that's who we have a passionate for children, whether it's through Beds for Kids or Congregation for Kids or other groups like that. And as we shared our thoughts behind the Word of the Year with Jim Goins, well, let me just pause. We've always known and adopted the adage from the old African proverb that says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And so we both played sports. Yep. We love team sports, and we love the camaraderie that Inky Johnson, tell the Inky Johnson story when he came to talk to us.
Yeah. I mean, Inky Johnson's one of our, great listens. He spoke to all of our folks several years ago, and there's so much to take away from that conversation. But one snapshot that really crystallizes the message for us is when he looks back and he recalls the time and what he enjoyed most, what he remembers and what he enjoyed most were those times in the locker room with his fellow players. It's that camaraderie. It's that being together as a team. That's what he misses most. Not the press clippings, not the stats. It's the time together.
That's right. And so we got with our creative director, Jim Goins, and when we were sharing with him all of the sentiments behind, well, tell me why you chose this Word of the Year. He said, Charlie, Manny, it's reminding me of this group photo that we had taken together in our New River training room, and we used it in a lot of presentations back in. So we looked through our archives, and he said back in October 2019. And sometimes you have to look back to go forwards, and so after much debate, internal debate and discussion. A lot, probably more this year than any other year.
Yeah, it's true.
We landed on a word that once again, we believe speaks to the zeitgeist of what the river can bring to the world to furnish life's best memories. And that word is?
Well, in 2024, our word of the year is connect.
It's connect. It's a softer, more human word.
That's right.
In a world that's thinking about artificial intelligence, how can we be more relational? In a world absorbed with things that aren't real, like artificial intelligence or even virtual reality and artificial reality, in a world where even the Surgeon General has stated the biggest epidemic emerging today is the epidemic of loneliness and isolation. And in a remote world where isolation can separate us, in a divisive world where politicians can spew vitriol against the other side, we know what we have always known. We are better together, and we are healthier when we connect with each other. We are stronger when we connect with each other. We fortify each other through relationships with each other, and we will sell more when we connect with our guests. Manny, it's literally been there the whole time.
It has been. It's the first. It is the first step in our sales process.
Yeah, we have a C4 sales process, and the first word is connect. It's like been staring at us the whole time.
Yeah.
In a world that seems like it is running away from humanity and togetherness, but then wondering why it's struggling with isolation and loneliness, once again, we're going to think like retailers. We're going to act like memory makers, and we're going to be there for each other We're going to connect to our purpose. We're going to connect to our potential.
Yes.
We're going to connect to our leadership. We're going to connect to our stores, like we talked about. Yeah, I know you love this one. We're going to connect to our distribution centers. Might get you back on the road show. We're going to connect to process improvements, and we're going to connect to each other, and we're going to connect with other groups.
That's right.
We're going to be open with other groups in our community, in our industry, and we'll continue to shine the light and illuminate what's good in the world, what's right with the world, and what we can remain hopeful about. And so through our ability to focus on connecting in 2024, I think we'll grow stronger from the inside.
Agreed.
Fortify our foundation and be poised to take on the future with a clear vision and full heart.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
I love it. I love that. Getting clarity on that assignment. Clear eyes, full hearts, you can't lose. I love that saying. But here's the other beautiful part about connect and connection. It also gives us an opportunity to be present and to be still, to be present where our feet are. I think there's some power in, not that those breakfast meetings, that those earlier day conversations that they're in the past. There's nothing we can do to change them. What we can do is be committed to connecting and being present with the now. And so whether that's with our guest who's in front of us, whether that's in talking to a fellow colleague, helping and serving in the communities, connect is such a powerful word because it roots us where we're at.
That's right.
And my hope and prayer for all of our folks that are connected to the river is that that we will find ways to grow stronger connections, so that this can continue to kind of permeate beyond Broad River into all the communities.
That's right. That's that organizational weight. That's that ripple effect. We do want to illuminate and radiate positivity. We do want to be that shining light, up on the hill that's positive in a world that can be so negative. And we want to acknowledge there is pain out there. That's why we have, for our memory makers, let's give a shout out to corporate chaplains. Yeah, Corporate Chaplains of America. Confidential, private, permission-based. Available 24/7 through telechat or through weekly visits in our stores. And they're so helpful and instrumental. We want to ride alongside our memory makers. And so we would encourage anyone to look into a chaplaincy program or Corporate Chaplains of America. We certainly were not the first.
That's right.
And we learned from others on that because you got to be there for your people. And you said think long-term, but then you're talking about being present in the day. And so I'm thinking about the win the day moment. We don't have subscribers.
Not the cable company.
No, we're not the cable company. We're not the wireless cell phone company. We got to go win the day, which means win the moment.
Yes.
And by the way, doing that repeatedly over time with those repeated habits and those disciplines, that's the 20-mile march discipline.
Yes.
And with those disciplines, the long term will take care of itself.
That's exactly right.
So we really feel pretty strongly about where we landed here. Love the logo and the graphics, the Connect logo. We have different iterations. You'll see it, when you log into our software systems, our ERP systems. You'll see it probably in our email signature. You'll see it on our social media headers and graphics. We'll share it back out, and you'll see it. And then we're going to activate it throughout our stores. We'll always have our shirts. I love the colors. We'll have our stickers and
we'll have some updated mugs.
We'll have some updated mugs. We didn't get them yet for this filming. But then I love what Kim did with the puzzle. Explain the puzzle.
Yeah, the puzzles. I mean, so I think when we have so many great creative folks on our team, and so Kim came up with the concept of, let's send all of our locations a 500-piece puzzle. And I love puzzles, but what's the great thing about puzzles? When someone's out there puzzling, it kind of draws you in because you're like, oh, I can find that piece or I can do that. And so it's a great way to connect for our teams to put these Connect puzzles together and to then display them for all of our folks. So
yeah, and it's something that you can do together.
Correct.
And so that's really cool. And we announced this on our town hall this morning. We're recording this on Groundhog's Day on Friday afternoon. And so we had our annual kickoff town hall where we revealed it internally to our people, and we invited licensees that we saw in Vegas market, Ashley corporate folks, and so we had a lot of people. We want to be open and transparent with what we do, and we've learned from others, and we've stood on the shoulders of giants, and we know that sometimes people look up to us. What are you guys doing? So we want to share it back out. I'm super excited this year about connecting with our leaders through we've signed up with Franklin Covey. We're going
leadership development.
Yeah, leadership development is going to be huge for us, and I'm really excited about
Purple Summit.
Yeah. So we've done several internal summits, like our Sleep Summit and our Elevate Summit.
Yep.
We might have a Connect Summit this year. But I'm really excited
High
about...
probability for that.
That's right. I'm really excited about taking, up to 100 of our leaders together with us to the Purpose Summit that's coming into Charlotte for 3 days and really connecting and spending that time in a powerful way. A lot of ways to connect. I mean, I'm sure I'm going to play a lot of games of Connect 4. I walked through the halls today and I saw a Connect 4 board game in Will Luke's office.
Got them for our leaders, yeah.
Yeah, so that's really cool. So anything else on the word connect, Manny?
No, I'd just say, hey, I think this, this is why, I love being partners with you. This is a good connection point. Stories from the River, season 3. Like this because you're in. You hopefully you hear this. But a lot of our folks that come and sit and that we talk to at a final interview or if we're in Vegas, it's just great to kind of hear about the connection that they've had with the podcast. So just encouragement for you to let's keep going. I know season 3 is going to be our best year yet on this podcast, and it's our year of connection. So I'm excited to see who the Stories from the River is going to connect with this year.
Oh, that's exciting. No pressure there. Appreciate the kind words. So that's our word of the year for 2024. That's the story behind the history of our word of the year and then our selection process. I want to thank all of our leaders who contributed so many great ideas. Connect wasn't our first idea or option or nominee, but I'm so excited with where we are. I think it's right for where the country is, where the economy is, where our people are, where Broad River is, and it's right to lead us through this year. And so I'm looking forward to connecting as much as possible. I must see that word everywhere now.
Everywhere. Yes.
Yeah. So thank you guys so much for joining us for this special episode and connecting with us here at Stories from the River. Join us. We're trying to bring you fresh new content. Now we're bringing it every Tuesday and Thursday and sometimes a special episode here at Stories from the River. So whether you're on YouTube or Apple or Google or Amazon, wherever you get your fresh podcast content, thanks so much for joining us. Hey, if you got an idea, drop it in the comments like Manny said. Let us know what you'd like to see here on the river. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Stories from the River. To check out more episodes, visit storiesfromtheriver.com. Join us again next week, and remember to like, rate, and subscribe to the podcast.